so low. I was like, oh my god. Hey. I know. I've got a press badge that doesn't say freelance anymore.
Good afternoon.
Yeah. It's been a little bit of a rough start to the year. I mean,
Do I have to have someone do it?
hey, yeah, for sure. It's really nice to see you guys.
Sure. Oh, yeah. Hello? All right, everyone, let's get started. If you can hear my voice, clap once. If you can hear my voice, clap twice. If you can hear my voice, clap 3 times. Thank you. Let's get started, everyone, all right? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Ashley Taylor Gouget. I'm the Executive Director of the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault, and I'm incredibly grateful to be here with you all today. Like many of you in this room, this work is deeply personal to me. It is political and it is essential. We gather here today because we believe in a Minnesota where survivors are supported, where communities are safe, and where justice is something that we build together. And until that vision is fully realized, we will continue to show up, we will continue to tell our stories, and we will continue to raise our voices. Today is also a powerful reminder of what is possible when movements come together. Minnesota is unique in that we are home to 6 statewide anti-violence coalitions, each working every day to support survivors and strengthen our communities. I want to take a moment to recognize the coalitions who helped organize this day. Mending the Sacred Hoop, the Minnesota Alliance on Crime, the Minnesota Children's Alliance, the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault, the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition, and Violence Free Minnesota. Because of the dedication and leadership of these organizations and the advocates, survivors, and allies who power this movement, we are able to gather here today to stand together in support of crime victim services across Minnesota. Each of these organizations brings vital leadership, expertise, and advocacy to this movement. And today, we stand together because when we stand in solidarity, we rise. I'd also like to thank and welcome every single one of you for showing up today. This room is packed, absolutely packed. Can I get a clap for that? Some applause for you? To the crime victim advocates, sexual assault advocates, domestic violence advocates, tribal advocates, and children's advocates, thank you for the work you do every day to support survivors across Minnesota. To the youth, yep, go ahead and clap for that. To the youth, elders, community members, survivors, and family members of those we've lost, thank you for being here, for being part of this movement, and for leading the way. And to our legislators, representatives, and government workers who have joined us today, Thank you for being here and for listening to the voices of the communities you serve. Your presence matters, your voices matter, and together we are sending a clear message. Supporting survivors and funding victim services is essential to a safe and just Minnesota. Before we get started, and I didn't tell you this, but I'm going to be your MC today. So before we get started, we're going to need to bring a little bit of energy into this space. So if you believe survivors deserve safety, healing, and justice, make some noise. That was great. We don't even have to do it again. That was wonderful. But I want to make sure that everyone in this building can hear us. So when I say in solidarity, you say we rise. Ready? In solidarity. We rise. In solidarity. We rise. In solidarity. We rise. Thank you. All right, so we're going to get started. We are going to welcome Natasha and Lisa, who will be offering our opening prayer. My apologies, Natasha and Linda.
Thank you. Oh, look at it. They got a little people. Hi. There is a box back here to make me taller, so I'm really grateful. I'm pretty short. Wasaya kwa indigo makwa indurum. My name is Linda Thompson. I work with the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition. I am Anishinaabe from the Boys Fort Reservation with ties from my mother to Leech Lake and Mille Lacs. I live south of the cities, and I've been working for MUSAC for about 10 years in August, but I've been an advocate for many years. Yeah, and I think, you know, this morning the Creator sent somebody to me to tell me their story about what happened. And it was a male talking about sexual violence. And I just was talking to Natasha. Every single person in here is so important to stand with everybody who tells you what has happened. And to keep those things sacred in your heart. And to let go so we don't get sick from the violence that we are watching, listening to, and many of us have experienced. So I did have another person tell me about their beliefs standing in this room. And I want to acknowledge and honor anything that you believe that helps you to be a good person, that helps you not to harm anybody, even with words or thoughts, that I bring honor and respect to that belief. So thank you. Creator, Wakantaka Tokashina Ate Ushi Ina. Gichimani Du, Father, God, Creator, all the things that many people call out to bring back the sacred place inside each of us that knows the truth. I ask that you be here and that you help our voices to be loud on behalf of the things that we believe down to our soul about what's right and what's wrong, and the ways that we interfere and stop what we can, and the way that our voices carry the truth throughout the lands. I ask first that the violence is an energy and that it stops, but that we speak up when we have to and we support others and their voices with their truth, and that we work with everything we have to continue to be the advocates on behalf of those that we have said we will serve. I ask that you help us to remember the sacredness of all of this work and help us to be who you want us to be, so that when our last day comes here, that we go to where we're going to go with peace in our heart, that we did our best in every way that we could. I ask these things for all of my relations. Thank you for getting everybody here safe. Watch over them on their way home. I would like to introduce Natasha Kingbird from the Mending the Sacred Hoop, who I've stood behind. I'll be with her the whole time she's up here. Miigwech.
Buju, Gnu Indigenous Magazine and Do Dame, Miss Gwagamiwiza Ginin Nunjaba. I'm Natasha Kingbird. I work at Mending the Sacred Hoop. I'm the program engagement coordinator. Today, we're here together and bring all of us into solidarity, and we actually brought our shawls, so we're gonna ask all the the ladies who have shawls, come up and stand with us, please, because we're gonna actually tell you a little bit about the shawls today. And where I come from, and the family name that I carry, we usually start off with song. And so when I created this song, I was working with women who were coming home from incarceration. A lot of the women, experienced domestic violence, sexual assault, and trauma that they never reported. And so a lot of our numbers aren't really reported, but when I was working with the women, I wanted to be really intentional and bring song and bring healing into that circle while working with women. And so today I'm just gonna sing a couple verses of that song, and then we're gonna go into our land acknowledgement, and then we're gonna tell you a little bit about the shawls. Giranishna benanik onda sige wewak weha hea heha weha hea heha Giranishna benanik onda sige wewak weha hea heha Some of our ladies, when we're working with them, we just need to come at things in a different way. And so if we're coming at ways to heal women, our people used to use songs for a lot of different things, and that song was created for those women who were looking for a better way of life, transitioning back out of incarceration. And so our land acknowledgement today is, give me a second. We acknowledge that we are on land and water that is current and an ancestral homeland of the Ojibwe and Dakota. We acknowledge the painful history of genocide, forced assimilation, and efforts to alienate the indigenous inhabitants from this territory here. We honor and respect that many diverse indigenous peoples still connected to this land retain tribal sovereignty, treaty rights, and cultural resilience. Indigenous people are spiritual and physical caretakers of this land to which we all belong. The 6 coalitions today respects these sacred lands, stands with the community members from these nations, and will fight injustice in all its forms. And so today we're gonna explain the history of our shawls, and a lot of our programs today are, we wear these red shawls. You can see a couple shawls up here, and those are for people that have, are no longer here. And I can say a couple different names of women who have died from the hands of their abusers. And there's women out there that are still struggling with mental health from the abuse. And so those chairs right there are an honor for them. The Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition and the Mending the Sacred Hoop Coalition came together to create the honoring of survivors' shawls and armbands. We chose to use these colors, red, purple, and teal, to create the shawls. The teal covered fringe honors victims of survivors of sexual assault. The purple fringe honors victims and survivors of domestic violence. The color of the shawl is red to honor all Native people, male and female, who have survived many forms of violence throughout history, such as rape as a tool of war, our children being taken away from us generations ago, men and women being sexually abused and beaten in boarding schools, Native women being killed 2 times more often than other races by domestic violence. 1 out of 3 Native women are sexually assaulted in their lifetime, and our men and women have carried this pain in silence for too long. Dancing is a time for healing and for celebration of life, friends, and families. And we wear these shawls in those sacred circles to honor them. And we wear them right now to honor the ladies and men that can't be here with us today. And with that, I just want to say miigwech for allowing me this space to speak, to sing, and to give you a little bit of history about the red shawls that we wear. And with that, I just want to say miigwech.
Thank you for that beautiful opening. Let's keep the energy going, okay? Repeat after me, okay? From the cities to the range. Justice now, it's time for change. From the cities to the range. Justice now, it's time for change. Thank you. That's the energy that we need to have today in this building. It's the Capitol, but it's not a somber place. This is a place that we come to organize, we come to rally, and we come to demand support for victim services. So I would like to welcome our first speaker, Dr. Lori Quist, CEO of Breaking Free. Dr. Quist has a deep passion and commitment to justice for survivors of sex trafficking. I've personally witnessed her incredible advocacy for the survivors she works with, and we are so grateful to have her with us today.
I'm really short. Thank you. I'm honored to stand with you today at the Minnesota State Capitol on Action Day, because today is about more than policy. It is about people. It is about safety, and it is about our collective commitment to survivors of exploitation, trafficking, and violence. At Breaking Free, we walk alongside people every day who have survived things most of us cannot imagine. People who were bought and sold in our neighborhoods. People who were beaten, manipulated, trafficked, and discarded. People who were told they were worthless and yet found the courage to survive. But survival should not be the end of this story. In Minnesota, we pride ourselves on being a state that cares about community. We invest in education, healthcare, and infrastructure. But none of those systems work the way they should if the most vulnerable among us are unsafe. Victim services are not an extra. They are not charity. They are not optional. They are essential public safety infrastructure. When a survivor calls because they are trying to escape their trafficker, that is public safety. When someone enters our housing program instead of returning to the streets, that is public safety. When we provide advocacy, mental health support, chemical health support, job training, and long-term housing stability, that is violence protection and prevention. When survivors heal, communities heal. But this work cannot happen in isolation. Survivors' lives intersect with law enforcement, healthcare systems, courts, housing providers, child protection, corrections, and community organizations. When those systems are fragmented, survivors fall through the cracks. Collective commitment means we stop asking, whose responsibility is this? And we start saying, this is ours. It means legislators ensuring sustained, stable funding for victim services, not year-to-year uncertainty that forces programs to scale back or close. It means continuing to treat exploited individuals as victims, not criminals. And it means communities recognizing that trafficking and exploitation are not happening somewhere else. They're happening here. It also means recognizing that survivors need more than crisis response. They need long-term pathways to independence. Trauma does not resolve in 30 days. Housing instability does not fix itself in 6 months. And the impact of exploitation can last a lifetime if we do not intervene with intention. At Breaking Free, we believe in a comprehensive model of care, advocacy, housing, a connection to mental and chemical health support, peer support, and economic empowerment. Because freedom is not simply the absence of violence, it is the presence of opportunity, dignity, and choice. That kind of freedom requires sustained investment. When funding for victim services is cut or delayed, the impact is immediate. Beds disappear, staff positions go unfilled, wait lists grow, and people return to unsafe situations because there's nowhere else to go. We cannot build strong, safe communities on unstable foundations. I stand here today not only as a CEO, but as someone who has worked in systems for decades. I have seen what happens when we fail to intervene early. Cycles of violence, addiction, incarceration, and poverty repeating across generations. But I also have seen what happens when we intervene effectively. I have seen families reunite. I have seen survivors become leaders in our communities. I have seen people who were once trafficked help change laws. I have seen freedom. That freedom happens because of collective commitment. So today I want to be clear about what survivors and service providers need. We need sustained legislative investment in victim services across Minnesota so programs can plan, retain staff, and meet the real needs of survivors. We need funding that supports long-term stable housing for survivors of trafficking and exploitation because safety and recovery are impossible without a safe place to live. And we need policies that recognize that healing and stability take time. I also want to thank the advocates, service providers, survivors, and community members who are standing here today. Your work is demanding. It often happens minutes before you finish your shift, on weekends, and in moments of crisis. Yet you show up every day because you believe survivors deserve more than survival. They deserve freedom. They deserve freedom. Your advocacy is why we are here today. Strong communities are not defined by how they treat the powerful. They are defined by how they protect the vulnerable. Safety is not simply the absence of crime. It is the presence of justice, support, and systems that work together. Today on Action Day, let us recommit ourselves. Not just in words, but in action. Let us commit to stable funding for victim services. Let us commit to long-term housing solutions that allow survivors to rebuild their lives. Let us commit to trauma-informed systems that support healing and accountability. Because when one person is freed from exploitation, when one child grows up in a stable home, when one survivor finds their voice and their future, Minnesota is stronger. Victim services are not on the sidelines of public safety. They are central to it. Together, we can build communities where exploitation has no foothold, where survivors are met with dignity, and where safety is not a privilege, but a promise. Thank you for standing with survivors. And thank you for your commitment to building a Minnesota where every person has the opportunity to live free.
All right, thank you so much, Lori. If you haven't caught on already, we're going to do a chant every time in between, because we're not going to stay quiet. Repeat after me. Fund survivors. Fund the work. Fund survivors. Fund the work. Fund survivors. Fund the work. All right. For our next speaker, I would like to welcome Senator Mary Kunesh.
I'm State Senator Mary Kunesh, and I have with me State Representative Heather Keeler, and we're both really proud to be here with all of you. Thank you. So today we're here before you not just as your legislators, but we are allies in our shared fight against crime and its devastating impact on our communities. Each of you and many others have faced unimaginable pain, and your stories resonate with us deeply, with me, and with our communities. We have to acknowledge the strength it takes to be here and to speak out and tell your stories as we advocate for justice. Your courage not only empowers ourselves, but inspires others who may still be suffering in silence. So as we move forward through legislation to address violence against women, the missing and murdered Indigenous relatives, the lack of resources that go to our communities, just know that we are here with you to make sure that your voices are heard, that your stories are told, that when you come to us looking for resources or justice, that we are here to help you do just those things, because our voices have not been heard in this building for generations. So we will continue to work toward better resources for mental health support, more robust protections, legal framework that hold perpetrators accountable while providing all of you with the dignity and the respect that you deserve. I know that together we can transform our pain into purpose, advocating for a safer community and environment for all of us. Thank each and every one of you that came out here today and those that are doing the work. Thank you for advocating for a safer environment, for your strength, your resilience, and for trusting us to stand up for you. Wopilatanka and Shimigwich.
Thank you so much, Senator. All right, let's see if you remember this one. In solidarity. In solidarity. In solidarity. Nice job. Okay, I would like to welcome Kissy Coakley, Executive Director of Kissy's Stay Put Services.
Hello. Hello, my name is Kissy Coakley, and I am the executive of Kissy Stay Put Services. I'm writing on the behalf of KSP, where our mission is to meet women's needs using a client-centered approach and trauma-informed care. We strive to help women experience healthy, safe, and equitable relationships by building communities free of domestic violence, one woman at a time. Each year, at least 69,000 people are booked into local jails in Minnesota. At Kissy Stay Put Services, women, especially Black and brown women, are increasingly criminalized for trying to keep themselves safe. This causes a ripple effect on the whole family, from losing employment, housing, and children been out of school for an extended period of times, which creates more unintended consequences for the whole family. I was supporting this bill because many survivors became entangled in the criminal justice system because of their direct abuse from their abusers. Here are several examples. One woman I spoke with told me she was driving in the car with her abuser, and when he was pulled over by the police, and he passed her the drugs and told her she had to say the drugs was hers, because if she didn't, he would be arrested and put back in jail by being currently on probation. Another yet rather young woman I worked with for about 7 months is sitting in Shakopee right now. This woman I worked with could not identify the long-term abuse that she had experienced. But I would tell you, I would never forget every week that I worked with her, she would say, "Prepare me for prison." We should not be preparing women or victims for prison. We should be preparing them on how to identify domestic abuse, control, coercion, manipulation, sexual assault, and how to keep themselves and their families safe. Now, I'm going to mention this bill number. I was going to testify yesterday, but we know that this bill has been heard, but I just want to say it for you all would know what bill this is. So KSP offers strong support for the Survivors Justice Act, which was SF 3002 HF 2976. This Justice Survivors Act offers a more path to healing, accountability, and community reintegration. Traditional sentencing guidelines do not take these experiences into consideration, furthering the harm that criminalize survivors. In particular, Black and brown women and families who are already experiencing so many injustices, too many, a few overly criminalized, not having equal pay, deportation, lack of funding, lack of housing, the list could go on and on. That is why I'm supporting the Justice Survivors Act. The Justice Survivor Act gives judges greater flexibility to consider a person's history of domestic abuse, sexual violence, or sex trafficking when sentencing crimes are connected to the trauma. This bill acknowledges that the survivor responses to domestic or sexual violence often lead survivors into the criminal justice system. This does not mandate reduces sentences. Rather, it allows courts to evaluate the full picture and deliver outcomes that are fair, individualized, and grounded in justice. As a program serving survivors who often experience intersecting forms of violence, we know that policies like this play a vital role in preventing additional trauma, harm, and fostering true healing, accountability, and community reintegration. On behalf of the communities and survivors we serve, we urge you to support the Survivors Justice Act. I just want to say thank you all for being here today, and thank you for supporting criminalized justice impacted folks. And then also, we know that abuse, sexual abuse, domestic violence is not just targeted toward women. We know that children, and LGBTQ, trans, and it's not just identified by race. We know that it's identified by all kinds of things. It does not matter. So I just want to be clear about that. I do understand that domestic violence and sexual violence don't just stop at one culture, one race, and women. We know that it impacts everyone. And so I just want to make sure that legislators are here, that hear us and fund this work on all levels, because without the funding, we cannot do the work. So thank you.
Thank you, Kissy. And on that note, fund survivors. Fund the work. Fund survivors. Fund the work. Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Janet and Kurt Peterson.
I'm Janet Peterson. Thank you for your time and attention today as we share our victim story and why victim support is essential. On a warm, rainy morning in August of 2022, a man who stalked my daughter-in-law online drove 12 hours from Akron, Ohio to Minneapolis, broke into their home with a battering ram, and was confronted by my son, 32-year-old Ryan James Peterson. The man stabbed my son to death as my daughter-in-law witnessed the murder. Over 3.5 years later, my family and I are still suffering from the trauma of losing our beloved Ryan so violently and suddenly. We've also been persistently traumatized by a complicated and irrational justice system that dragged the case out for 3 years and ended in civil commitment at the state hospital for an undetermined amount of time. We don't know how long we'll be safe from him. As a mom, I feel the ongoing grief of losing my son and the painful knowledge of what he endured in his final moments. I was terrified that my family and I would not recover from the suffering, unable to live with any level of normalcy. I looked for and found support and resources to help us. But we soon learned that the system of help is built for privilege. It's locked away in a maze of forms, requiring an abundance of effort, energy, and focus, which we and most victims don't have. I ended up in the hospital with an emotional and physical breakdown, and like the rest of my family, have needed ongoing mental health support just to create a baseline life again. We did have support, although incomplete and fragmented. My daughter-in-law did not have medical attention when she was whisked away to the precinct alone with Ryan's blood still on her bare feet and pajamas. My husband had to locate, arrange, and manage the professionals who were needed to clean a ghastly murder scene. To ensure justice for Ryan, we deeply involved ourselves in the judicial proceedings. While we had a court advocate, we had to initiate communication and follow-up to know what traumatizing judicial event was coming next. Several times we were not told of hearing changes or cancellations until we were in the courthouse. All of this caused unnecessary harm to us. Without the support, it would have been far worse, so we do value what does exist. We don't want ourselves and other crime victims to be an afterthought, left damaged and harmed by solvable issues. Unifying and streamlining systems and communications is possible and necessary. We call on our policymakers to invest in better support structures that consider the whole victim starting at the moment of the crime, throughout the legal proceedings, and over time to help us rebuild our lives. The idea to cut funding for crime victim support is laughable, because the real answer is to increase it and provide swift, simple, and humane services. Minnesotans deserve a system to help crime victims, not re-traumatize us.
I am Kurt Peterson, brother of the late Ryan Peterson. I think it is important that we view these cases not only through the lens of the horror stories of the victims like our families, but also through a pragmatic examination of the system as a whole. Our criminal justice system is not designed to be proactive. It is inherently reactive. A crime happens, then it is reported, then it is investigated, and then maybe justice follows, but only after someone has been hurt. Law enforcement, prosecutors, and courts step in after the damage is done. The entire system is built to respond, not to prevent. And after the headlines fade and the verdict is read, what happens next? Victims are left to navigate the long, exhausting, expensive aftermath. They're left with trauma, physical, emotional, life-altering. They're left trying to rebuild their lives while the system moves on to the next case. If you look at the criminal justice system from the point of incident to the point of justice served, there is only one thing you can guarantee. One thing you can guarantee. Someone is a victim. A victim is inevitable in a reactive system, but suffering at the hands of the justice system does not have to be. Thank you. Thank you. We may not yet have the social structures necessary to eliminate crime entirely, and perhaps no society ever fully will, none to my knowledge have. But that reality makes victim support more essential, not less. This is an issue that is not going away with time. This is a part of our Minnesota life. When someone has been harmed, they need counseling, financial support, advocacy, and stability. As has been said here before, they need dignity. Funding victim resources is not an optional add-on to our justice system. It's a moral obligation. It is imperative to act. It is the bridge between surviving, living, and healing. Victims are hurt people who need help. And when we choose to slash the resources designed to help them recover, we're not being fiscally responsible, we are being inhumane. If we truly believe in justice, then we must believe in restorative justice. If we believe in safety, we must believe in support. And if we accept that our system is reactive, we must commit to caring for those it reacts to. Justice will never end at conviction. Justice continues in how we treat the victim, how we keep them close in our community. And that is where our funding, our policies, our priorities must stand, or else we abandon our compassion for the sake of a budget. Thank you.
Justice for Ryan Peterson. Justice for Ryan Peterson. Next, I would like to welcome Irene Fernando, Chair of the Hennepin County Board of Commissioners.
I'll use the boost. Hello, everyone. I'm Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando, but you can call me Commish. I use she, her pronouns, and it's truly an honor to share space with each of you today. In 2019, I became the youngest woman to ever serve on the Hennepin County Board. I'm the first Filipino American elected in the state of Minnesota. And in 2023, I became the first board chair of color in Hennepin's 174-year history. Thank you to all who organized and supported today's Action Day, uplifting survivors, highlighting systemic needs, and rising in solidarity towards justice. I am beyond inspired by your individual and our collective strength and bravery. Too often, survivors are pushed to the margins, even punished by the very same systems that are supposed to support us. Today, it is my hope that our presence and advocacy reminds and regrounds policymakers in what is possible when survivors are centered, supported, and cared for. Families of victims, survivors, and bystanders should have trust in systems, whether or not they've taken formal steps within those systems. Because no matter who you are, what zip code you live in, resident or visitor, whoever you love, or however much is in your bank account, when residents or their loved ones call 911, the people in our communities deserve a compassionate emergency response that meets their needs. While Thank you. While I and countless public leaders and community providers have made progress, there is still significant work to be done, especially as it relates to domestic and intimate partner violence. And when so many people in power have documented violence against the most marginalized in our communities, women and children, Black, Indigenous, and people of color, non-binary or trans relatives, it is time for all of us to bravely rise in solidarity towards justice and accountability together. Because we cannot let their hatred and greed overcome our love and shared humanity. They have reallocated our taxpayer dollars, our hard-earned funds, from housing, food, and healthcare to be spent on violence, family separation, and a war that no one has asked for. They have gutted our social safety net and are making health services harder to access. But we will not be deterred. We will continue to fight for and fund gender-affirming care. We will make sure all of our clinics and HCMC stays open, and our shared humanity and the love for people will absolutely prevail. So to any resident or family member who has experienced these harms, I apologize deeply on behalf of government, and I consider you my constituent and family member. I promise to continue to fight for your safety, your dignity, and your justice. It is my privilege to rise alongside each of you today. To our partners and providers, give it up for partners and providers, everybody. The people who have dedicated their lives to this work every single day, to show up on our worst days, and to stay with us when the last of the crowds have left. Thank you for your advocacy and rising and supporting this difficult and necessary work. I look forward to remaining in this fight with each of you, governing with courage against authoritarianism, rising in solidarity towards justice, and uplifting our shared humanity without apology. I'm Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando, but you can call me Commish. Thank you.
In solidarity, in solidarity, in solidarity. Please join me in welcoming Kayla Nordquist.
I'm short too. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kayla Nordquist, Sam Nordquist's sister. I'm here today as a sister whose heart will never be the same. Before I begin, I want to take a moment to thank Violence Free Minnesota for inviting me to be here today and for creating a space for voices like mine. It truly means a lot to me and my family to know that people care enough to listen, to stand with us, and to work towards a world with less violence and more compassion. Thank you. My brother Sam wasn't just a story on the news. He wasn't just a headline people read and then move on from. He was my brother. He was family. He was loved more than words could ever explain. Sam had a beautiful soul. He had a smile that could light up a room and a laugh that you could hear from across the house. He was the kind of person who deserved a long life filled with love, happiness, dreams that hadn't even had the chance to come true yet. But instead, my family had to do the unthinkable. We had to say goodbye. 1 year ago, we walked into a room and seen him for the last time. I remember feeling like the air was knocked out of my chest, like the world had completely shattered in that moment. No family should ever have to go through that. Grief is a strange thing. Some days you cry until you can't breathe. Some days you just feel numb, and some days you wake up for a split second and you forget. And then it all hits you all over again that they're really gone. The pain never fully leaves, but neither does love. And that love is why I'm standing here today. I'm standing here for Sam. I'm standing here because his life mattered. I'm standing here because my brother deserved better. Our family didn't choose this fight. We didn't ask to be voices for justice, but when someone you love is taken from this world in such a heartbreaking way, you realize you cannot stay silent. Silence won't honor him. Speaking his name will. So I will always speak Sam's name. I will tell people who he was. I will remind the world that he was a human being. He was loved deeply and is missed every single day. When we stand together like this, we raise our voices together, we show that love is stronger than hate, that community is stronger than fear, and that people we've lost will never be forgotten. Sam should still be here with us. He should still be laughing, living, and making memories with the people who love him. But since he can't be here, I will carry his voice with me everywhere I go. My brother mattered, his life mattered, and I will spend the rest of my life making sure the world remembers that. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for standing for justice. And thank you for helping us keep Sam's name and light alive. Thank you.
You stole that one from me. It is important. Justice for Sam Nordquist! Justice for Sam Nordquist! And while we're at it, justice for Allison Lucier! Justice for Allison Lucier! Justice for Mariah Samuels! Justice for Mariah Samuels! Thank you. Next, I would like to welcome Ruth Buffalo.
Nido Shadzi Nakbaga O Madashi Mia Adashheads Mabe Sigids Madzigidads Nakbaga O. Thank you for being here today, and thank you for the opportunity to speak. I want to be clear, when we talk about funding cuts, we are talking about real people. We are talking about victims and survivors who need safety, support, and someone to turn to in their darkest moment. And we're also here to acknowledge our victims and our survivors. And we want to say this clearly. A 20% cut to Office of Justice programs funding will hurt real people. It will hurt the people who call in crisis, the people trying to flee violence, the people searching for safety, housing, advocacy, counseling, and legal support. This means fewer staff, longer wait lists, and fewer services. And for some survivors, no help at all. That is the reality. When a survivor reaches out, that moment matters. If no one answers the phone, that matters. If there is no shelter bed, that matters. If there is no advocate available, that matters. For someone living with violence, even one delay can mean more danger, more trauma, and fewer chances to survive. That is why stable funding is not optional. Stable funding ensures no survivor has to face violence alone or be turned away from help. It keeps doors open, it keeps staff trained, it helps more than you know. It makes sure support is there when people need it the most. Not later, not only when budgets are strong, but when the crisis happens. Because the violence does not wait and survivors cannot wait, stable funding is especially critical for culturally specific, community-based organizations that survivors know and trust. People are more likely to ask for help when they know they will be acknowledged, heard, seen, and understood, and treated with dignity. That trust matters, that support matters, that funding matters. So I ask you today, do not make survivors pay the price for budget cuts. Do not force programs to decide who gets help and who gets turned away. Do not reduce safety for those already carrying the weight of violence and trauma. Instead, protect this funding, strengthen this funding, sustain this funding, because every survivor deserves safety, every survivor deserves support, and every survivor deserves to know they will not have to face violence alone. Stable funding saves lives. Maadzagirads. Thank you.
All right, we're going to do a new one. When I say, what do we do? You're going to respond, stand up, fight back. Got it? When victim services are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. When victim services are under attack, what do we do? Stand up, fight back. Thank you. All right, next I would like to welcome Angie Mahia Medina, Community Advocacy Manager at Esperanza United.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm truly honored to be here in community with all of you today. Thank you for showing up and standing in solidarity with survivors of domestic violence, stalking, sexual assault, and human trafficking. Our state has faced many challenges in the past several months, but what continues to define Minnesota is our willingness to stand up for one another and the courage to keep our heads held high. Even in difficult moments, our communities demonstrate courage, compassion, and resilience. My name is Angie Mahia. I'm a Community Advocacy Manager at Esperanza United. Since 1982, Esperanza United, formerly known as Casa de Esperanza, has been mobilizing Latina and Latine communities to end domestic violence, sexual assault, and stalking violence. Today, I want to talk about something that affects every survivor and every community: the importance of investing in victim services. Because when we invest in victim services, we invest in prevention, healing, and long-standing term public safety. Yet in 2018, funding for victim services and prevention has been declining. Those cuts has had real consequences for organizations across our state. Programs have been reduced, staff positions have been lost, and organizations like ours have struggled to maintain the culturally specific, holistic services that our communities need. And now with Operation Metro Surge, these problems have been magnified tenfold. Take, for example, Catalina's story. Catalina and her husband both reduced their work hours due to fear of immigration enforcement in their communities. As a result, they hunkered down at home for their safety, much like many of us did during COVID. But the financial strain quickly grew. Rent became harder to pay. Utilities piled up. The stress and pressure of this household increased. Over time, Catalina began experiencing more frequent and intense verbal outbursts from her partner. She eventually confided in a staff member at her child's school. She did not name domestic violence. She simply shared that she was scared and she wanted to go ahead and leave the relationship. Thankfully, because of Esperanza's prevention work, their staff member knew who we were and immediately called us for guidance. Together, we walked through options so that Catalina could make the decision that felt the safest and most right for her when she was ready. But this story leaves me with an important question. How many others are facing the same challenges right now? We are only beginning to see the full impact of Operation Metro Surge. More families are afraid to leave their homes. More workers are losing their income because they fear enforcement actions in their communities and workplaces. That means that rent goes unpaid, utilities are shut off, stress rises inside households that are already under pressure. Over the past months, Esperanza United has had to stretch our emergency funds further than before, helping families cover rent, basic necessities, and keep the lights on. In Catalina's case, we were able to provide guidance and support. But what about those survivors who never reach us, who never reach Esperanza? What about those survivors who don't even know about us, Esperanza United, or any other domestic violence agency is there to help? So when funding is reduced, outreach disappears, staff positions are lost, and once again, prevention programs shrink. And when that happens, survivors are left isolated. We are already seeing the warning signs at Esperanza United. Since January 2025, calls to our bilingual crisis line have decreased. But let me be clear with this. This does not mean that there is less violence. It means that survivors are facing greater barriers to seeking help. They are afraid to go to the hospital after an assault. They are afraid to call the police, and they're afraid to leave their homes. And abusive partners in these communities know how to weaponize fear. They say things like, if you leave me, I'm gonna call immigration on you. If you ask for help, they will take you away and you'll never see your children again. In a study that we conducted with the Alliance of Immigrant Survivors, more than 70% of our advocates indicated that immigrant survivors are concerned about contacting law enforcement or going to court. And half of these ultimately choose not to seek help at all. Our communities have been living in this fear for months. And at the same time, organizations like ours are being asked to do more with less. But we know something important. When survivors have access to culturally specific services, when they have trusted advocates, when they have language and interpretation services, and when they have safe pathways to support, they can rebuild their lives and strengthen their communities, our communities. This is why we're here today. Together, we call on our legislators to protect and strengthen funding for victim services so that every survivor, no matter their language, no matter their background, no matter their immigration status, can find safety, support, and hope. So when we invest in survivors, we invest in the safety and well-being of all Minnesotans, of all of us. Gracias.
In solidarity? In solidarity? All right, I would like to introduce our last speaker, Artika Roller, Executive Director of Cornerstone.
Thank you, Ashley. I apologize, I'm losing my voice just a little bit, so I will try to project. But you guys look beautiful. To the Ryan's family, to Sam's family, my condolences, my heart goes out to both of the families and to all of the families that are here representing lost loved ones. You have a community, you have a family. All right, I want to give a little recognition to the people that took time to make signs. So one of my favorite signs is victim services are public safety. If you know me, I say that all the time. Listen, believe, funding saves lives. Support HF 1082. Support crime victims. And again, I apologize for my voice, but we're gonna do this today. We're gonna get through it. Silence protects abusers. Voices protect survivors. Protect, support, and empower. Take action. Again, listen and believe. Sarah, I see you up there with a loved one. And so thank you for the sign. for representing, standing close to that loved one up there. We appreciate everybody that stood here to the end. I know it's a long day, but this is important work. Again, good afternoon. My name is Artika Roller. I'm the Executive Director of Cornerstone. Cornerstone, make some noise. Cornerstone, we disrupt violence through advocacy, support, prevention. We partner with individuals, families, and organizations to build communities free of harm. I'm a child of this community. I grew up right down the street from here in the Rondo, the historical Rondo community. Minnesota, thank you for coming out today and being in your house. This is our house. This is part of community. I'm the daughter of Barbara Louise McGehee and the granddaughter of Grace Brock, survivors, healers, and leaders who live in me and help me and give me the courage to be here with you today. I am shaped by many of my ancestors and many of you in this room. For more than 20 years, I have walked alongside victims and survivors, families impacted by violence. I have seen the best of us, but I've also have seen the worst of us. I have witnessed the darkness of power and control, but I have also witnessed the bright light of love, healing, and justice. Now, I have to be honest with you. I struggled today. I struggled to come up here. I struggled to think about the words that I needed to say to bring hope today. We're facing deep resistance to our work. Fraud dominates the headlines and impacts the services that we provide. Excuses for murderers, rapists, and violence are amplified. We hear confusing narratives that tell us to believe in survivors, but also treat domestic violence as a family matter. Black and brown survivors, as Kissy so eloquently stated, are prosecuted for crimes tied to their own victimization, and reproductive health is politicized and weaponized against us. This moment is a moment of injustice to the legacy of our movement, to the legacy of the work that the people that preceded us have done. And yet I stand here today. As Ashley said, I rise. I'm standing here insisting that we will not allow our legacy to be undone. The author, Bryan Stevenson, reminds us we cannot be governed by fear. We combat fear with love, justice, and truth, and with 10 toes down. Because when resources are withheld, we are told it might not be the right time for us to get what we need. When advocates are underpaid, overextended, that's not justice. That's not who we are. When we compromise year after year after year, we must name it. It's an unbalanced relationship. It's abuse to us in the work that we do. Funding is at an all-time low. The cost of doing this work, though, has doubled. We feel the impact every day. Like Fannie Lou Hamer says, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, but I am fired up today. Minnesota! Minnesota! We know we can do this when we come together. Our movement has leaders that stand in this room. Nicole Matthews, Alice Lynch, my mentor, Mother Atum, Sharon Sells Belton, Ruth Richardson, Kelly Moeller, Lakeisha Lee, Karen Kleinfelter, Susan Ryan, Sharon Rice Vaughn, Sheila Wellstone. Melissa Hortman, and so many others have the courage to stand and to choose courage over silence. We not only owe them, we owe every survivor to keep on moving. So I know you're asking yourself, Artika, what can I do? And I'm gonna help you with that today, because I'm an advocate, and that's what we do. I'm asking you not just to feel, but to act. Demand full funding, because we're tired of asking. Demand full funding for survivor services. Tell your elected leaders, safety is not optional. Number 2, support advocates. They deserve fair pay and care because they care for everyone. Challenge harmful narratives, interrupt survivor blaming, interpret excuses for abuse. Show up locally. You're here today. Volunteer, start conversations. And you guys know we have to vote. We have to vote. We got to show up. I'm going to leave that there because I got some thoughts about that. So I'm going to leave that there. So in closing today, I asked you, stand with survivors, stand with advocates, stand with our truth tellers and our justice seekers. Stand with our community. Refuse to let violence defend us. We are not here to shrink. We are not here to accept crumbs any longer. We are here to build a future of worth that's worthy for every survivor. We're not done. We're not done today. We're not done tomorrow. We're never, ever, ever gonna be done. We will always be here. So thank you for coming out today. I'm gonna steal a little bit from Ashley, and we're gonna do a little chant. Now, in my community, it's called call and response. I make the call, you respond. Now, this is the end of the day, so we're gonna need a little energy behind the call and response. And when I chant, who deserves safety? We know everyone deserves safety. Okay, that's the chant. So here we go. Who deserves safety? Everyone. Who deserves justice? Everyone. What do survivors deserve? Everything. All right, thank you.
Let's give it up for Artika. She nailed the chant, so we're not gonna overdo it. Jude, I'm gonna need you to make sure you get this fine lady some tea for her throat. Okay, thank you. To close us out, I would like to introduce Chair of the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assaults Board, Elena Anderson-Eggert.
Hi everyone, nice to be here with all of you. As Ashley said, my name is Elena Lee Anderson-Eggert, and I'm the chair of the board of directors for the Minnesota Coalition Against Sexual Assault. I'm also an advocate, a writer, and a survivor of childhood sexual assault and intimate partner violence. I come to you today to bring the words of our community forward in the form of a poem. Last year, I had the honor of partnering with Violence Free Minnesota as part of my work in the Writing to Wholeness Collective. We conducted a series of writing workshops with advocates, survivors, and community partners all across the state of Minnesota. In those workshops, we had a mother and daughter writing side by side. We had a room full of advocates from all over the state. and we had a group of survivors staying in shelter together, engaging in a writing exercise. 11 themes emerged from those stories shared, including one that feels especially relevant and important today. And that theme is cuts to funding for advocacy are detrimental to the entire community. The informed, creative, and necessary work of preventing and intervening in violence must be funded in Minnesota. So if you want to learn more about any of those themes or any of the incredible writing that came out of that project, we have copies of the report on the table for Violence Free Minnesota. But I want to close this out by sharing the other outcome of that project, which was a cento. A cento is a poem that is composed entirely of lines of writing from multiple different writers. So each line in this poem is taken from one of the participants in our project: survivors, advocates, community members. This poem is called Patchwork. I was stuck and I needed to get out. You are in the right place. We all need each other. People come to us with their past carried along. I came to see how their stories were my stories. I am breaking the generational cycle. It is passion. It is commitment. It is a part of who I am. I have overcome a lot and I have something to give. It's shown me that healing is possible. Let our stories be known so we can show the world that we are stronger together. Thank you. I'd like to welcome Natasha and Linda back up for our closing prayer. Thank you.
Well, today I just want to thank you all for showing up for us today and showing up for the survivors that unfortunately can't be here with us today. And so I just want to send us home with a good prayer. You all travel safely home. You know, take care of those who are supporting family who have lost a loved one, because that really makes a difference. Sometimes that grief is really heavy and we have to watch out for those family members. We have to care for them. We have to support them. We have to just make a phone call to them and, you know, let them know that they're not alone. We also have to reach out to those sexual assault victims, those who have been abused and that are sitting in rooms right now not knowing how to reach out for help. And so we're all here to support those people, and I just want to send good energy to all of you all, and I just want to say miigwech for being here with us today, and you know, all the leaders that are doing the work. You know, we all carry things, and so, you know, today I hope that they can just let a little bit of that go. And with that, I just want to say miigwech for being here with us today. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out to Action Day 2026. Before you leave, if you have some extra time, the funding bill is being heard downstairs right now in G15, and really we would love if folks have time, they could go down there and pack the room. You know, that would be, pack the room. All right, one more. In solidarity? In solidarity? In solidarity? Thank you all. Get home safe.